This is the Discovery Optics ED-LHT, and when I reviewed the scope a year ago, I was impressed by its build quality and the sharpness of its Japanese ED glass, but it had a tie-dye box and a thin reticle. Despite this, I thought it was a good value at under $300. Well, it's been a year. Do I still hold the same opinion? Let's find out, and let's ask some average shooters at the range what they think. I did a full in-depth review of all the features of this scope in a previous video, and you can find a link to that in this video's description, but let's just take a look at what you get in the box. I'm just going to do a quick recap here for you. The Discovery Optics ED-LHT is a nicely built scope from a brand that many shooters may not have heard of or think of as a budget scope brand. But maybe that's because the scope has a surprisingly affordable street price just under $275. But for that money, you're getting some really nice precision turrets with a zero stop and a wide range of adjustments. Plus, the scope has Japanese ED glass, which really makes a difference when you're looking through it. Glassing long-range targets, the scope is sharp, clear, and very color accurate throughout its entire magnification range from 3 all the way up to 15 power. And while I usually like a tiny dot or thin center crosshairs in my reticle, I found the stadia lines on this reticle to be a little too thin and fine. But everybody's opinion on a reticle is different. What do you think? How do you like this thin reticle? Speaking of other opinions, I thought it'd be a good idea to get some. So I took the scope to the gun range and asked my range buddies to shoot my rifle from 100 yards and give me their thoughts on the ED-LHT Gen 2.
Hi, my name's Cameron. Been looking at a Discovery Optic 3-15 scope that Moondog has here for us. First impressions, I think the eye box, which is basically how easy it is to get behind the optic and get a clear picture downrange, is a little bit tight, more or less throughout the magnification range. At 3, it's a little bit tighter than I would have expected for 3 power, on up to 15. Once you're behind it, the glass seems to be fairly decent quality. And the reticle stands out as being very, very fine. There's a lot of information. It's a Christmas tree style. And if you don't have your diopter and your parallax set just right, it can be very difficult to pick up the reticle on the target. If you are not a fan of Christmas tree style reticles, you're gonna get lost in all of the intersecting lines fairly easily. What I know of Discovery, I suspect this would probably be a pretty good entry-level optic for somebody who's interested in doing shooting probably between 100 to 300 or 400 yards with an eye towards precision. Again, with that very, very fine crosshair, you can make very, very fine adjustments visually on the target.
Hi, I'm Steve. For me, the eye box was kind of small. I had a hard time keeping it. The reticle is nice. The illumination could use some improvement. I like small reticles, clean. This one was kind of in there for me, but the only downside for me was the eye relief on it and the eye box. But other than that, it was a really nice scope. The glass was clean.
My name is Donna, and my first impression of this scope is the reticle was also a little bit hard to see. Like, it was pretty faint in general, so I think you have to have pretty good vision to like even really be able to use it.
Hi, I'm Steve, and I just used the Discovery scope. It certainly is good for shooting at the range because I have time to adjust to finding the target and matching the target to the reticle. But I'd say you probably would, given how light the cross-hatching is, you probably have to have good lighting where you're going to be. Imagine that might be difficult to shoot it in sort of a low light situation.
Hi, I'm Mike Norton. The clarity is good. The first focal plane for me is not necessarily something I like, because once you get dialed down, it's too small for the crosshairs to appear reliably for me. I think the reticle illumination could be brighter. But at 15 power at 100 yards, I was getting a good crosshair that I could keep consistently on the target. Better ammo would have gotten better group, but it was overall good.
Hi, I'm Andrew. Yeah, I thought it was actually quite nice. For the price point, I was favorably impressed. I thought the eye box was a little bit tight, so getting a good view of the reticle was a little bit of work, but once I got that sorted out, I thought it was good. I liked that the crosshairs were nice and fine, which made it easy to get in on the target.
All right, before we get into my final analysis and conclusions, I'd just like to take a moment to recognize this video's sponsor, Aura. Now, a lot of the products I review are really helpful in a worst case scenario, and one of the worst scenarios has to be identity theft. That's why I use Aura. Now, for the cost of a basic VPN, I'm getting more than that. I'm getting credit monitoring, fraud alerts, $1 million in identity theft insurance, plus they've gotten me off of data broker lists. They've been amazingly effective in reducing the amount of junk mail, texts, and robocalls I get. So that's why I want you to get a chance to try them free. Use my link, aura.com/moondog, and get a 14-day free trial. And you're helping to support this channel by using that link. So thanks for doing that. All right, let's get back to the video. So, to answer the original question of this video, has my opinion of the scope changed in a little over a year? The answer is no. In fact, the general consensus is that this scope has excellent glass and build quality for an optic that costs less than $275, but it has a tight eye box and a reticle that is a little too thin for general purpose use. But let me know in the comments who you think this scope and this reticle is ideal for. NRL 22, bench rest, or perhaps some specialized PCP airgun hunting. And if you're interested in picking up the scope, I've included more information and affiliate product links in my full written write-up at moondogindustries.com, and I invite you to watch my full-length review video of this scope that I posted on my channel. You'll find a link to both of those in this video's description. And hey, you're still watching the video at this point, which probably means you liked it, so do me a favor and hit that like button, the subscribe button, and notification bell buttons. And if you're already subscribed to this channel, thanks for doing that. And thanks to Discovery Optics for supplying the scope that we tested in this video. God bless. Moondog out. Hey, I'd like to know what you thought of this video. Leave me a comment or chat with me on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, MeWe, Instagram, or Locals. And if you want to see all of my videos, go to moondogindustries.com.